Let's bring in retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, a senior fellow and military expert at Defense Priorities. Colonel, let's start here. I want to ask you, would President Putin dare push the nuclear button? And if you think he wouldn't, then what's his end game?
No, he absolutely would not, because he knows that if the second that he ever does that, that's the destruction of Moscow and the end of his regime. What he is doing is trying to show his strength. What he wants to do is to project an image of power. He wants to make people throughout the world believe that it's an equal balance between the United States and Russia. And he wants to show, okay, the United States has their new nuclear weapons that they talked about back in October and then again in February, and now here's mine, so I'm just as equal with them. The fact is he's not. Now, they have nuclear weapons, and we have to respect that, because they do have the ability, as Secretary Mattis conceded at the time, that, you know, they could do severe damage to the United States. But in every other aspect, whether it's conventional military, whether it's our economy, whether it's our international presence and our ability to project power, they don't even compete with us in that regard. So Putin doesn't want people to know that. He wants people to think that he's actually on par with us, and he's not. So
then, as President Putin angles to gain more geopolitical power, where is there an opening for him? And is the U.S. missing any opportunities to block moves to expand Mr. Putin's power?
You know, what he wants to do is to play to the cameras. And so he thinks if he can play the perception game and make people believe he has more power and influence than he does, then that actually can give him some more influence internationally. And I think that's why it's really important for us to call that for what it is, and to any time that he takes any action at all that impinges on American prosperity or on our security, then we will not hesitate to respond, as President Trump just did with the expulsion of 60 diplomats there, and he has many other levers he could pull to do that. How, at the same time, it's also important for us to recognize it's in our interest to at least have stable relations with Russia as we can. So we don't want to go too far, because that hurts us.
Yeah, Jillian Turner, in her report, she had a Russian diplomat saying that we need close interaction. But if Mr. Putin, President Putin, is trying to play for the cameras, then he cannot beat President Trump on that front at all.
I agree with you.
Meanwhile, you know, there's North Korea. So it's like the U.S. is fighting one of those two-headed monsters from those King Kong movies between, you know, so you've got North Korea and Russia. Between the two, which is the bigger threat?
Oh, well, there's no question that Russia, because of its nuclear arsenal, is certainly the biggest potential threat. But I want to underscore that our nuclear deterrent and our conventional military deterrent can neutralize both of them, and far more can we neutralize North Korea with whatever the most that they have. I mean, they could inflict some harm on us, but we could utterly annihilate their country, and they know that. And so, again, Kim is also trying to take a page from the Putin playbook, and he's trying to play up to the cameras as well and play the perception game by going to visit, you know, China. He's rumored to go visit to Russia as well, and he's going to be talking to President Trump. So he's doing the same thing. But the fact is, he does not have a fraction of the power we do. So finally, what's the United States power play against each? The United States play is to demonstrate that we have all the cards, that we will never blink on our military deterrence, but with cooperation, we want to get along with everybody, because that's good for our own economy and our own prosperity, and that's what the bottom line is for us. And we'll leave it there. Colonel Davis, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Absolutely.